Right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going to begin with our misdemeanor calendar for today, February 20th, 2024. This is going to be the first appearance calendar for individuals who have been accused of one or more misdemeanor offenses. Upon being booked at the Fulton County Jail, their cases have now been formally accused by the Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County. Hence, this would be the first time they'll be hearing of their accusation number, the charges brought against them, as well as to appoint counsel if necessary, and to set a bond. For some of you, you may receive a new court date, and that is going to be, is it January 2nd, Ms. Champion?
It's going to be January the 7th, Your Honor.
January 7th. So the next court date is going to be January 7th, 2025 at 9 a.m. And it's also going to be a virtual proceeding. For those of you who plan to attend, please make sure you obtain a Zoom link from the clerk's office. For those who are charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, please remember you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Who do we have in courtroom one?
Good afternoon, Judge Law. This is going to be position number 8, Mr. Richard Tillum.
All right, thank you. And Mr. McLean, are you representing it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. This is Richard Silvis Tillum, accused of criminal trespass from December 19th of this year. Mr. Tillum, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. McLean. I understand this is Mr. Tillum's 23rd arrest cycle. Does he have any, and he has a 24 failure to appear. Any open cases with state court other than this one?
Oh, but he got a lot of battery, robbery. I mean, he got a lot of trespass and violent convictions, loitering, prowling, burglary, stuff like that. Ag assault.
He doesn't have any cases from 2024, but that's because he was released to PAD twice this past year, and we didn't file accusations. That would be December of 2023 and August of 2024.
All right. And Ms. Allen, what's the recommendation?
We're asking for $1,000 surety bond, Your Honor. Stay away from the location at 855 Peachtree Street. That's the Viewpoint Midtown Complex. I received from the manager there the previous order and criminal trespass notice that this defendant signed. It was issued and signed May the 26th of 2023, and have included that in our file. We'd ask for a social worker visit and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, we certainly agree with the social worker visit. I've already noted that. I totally agree. Whatever bond the judge can, the court can afford to him that would help him out, he would appreciate.
Bond is set at $1,000. It's a surety bond to stay away from the Viewpoint, the entire Viewpoint apartment complex. Next court date is January 7th, 2025. And a social worker should be visiting him. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Oh, Your Honor?
Yes, sir?
I need to step across the hall to pull something off the printer. It's already printed, but I'm alone today, so that'll just take me about 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Allen, are there any NODs on this calendar?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And any matters that are going to go to PAD?
No, we're no longer working with PAD.
Okay. And I see we have 2 add-ons, a Quinlan Cross and a Demario Middlebrooks. Were they set from a previous calendar?
Mr. Middlebrooks should have been a transfer, but the DA's office was not responsive. He's got a prior battery family violence conviction. Mr. Cross, I had to wait and speak to detectives as it relates to that case, Your Honor. It was on first appearance felony yesterday, so we're now moving forward.
All right. On Mr. Cross, we'll take that matter up at the end.
Thank you.
Right. Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
This is going to be position number 3, Miss Aisha George.
All right. Ms. George? I'm sorry. Ms. George, you have been accused of criminal trespass willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer from a December 18th, 2024 incident. Your accusation is 24 CR 8227J. You've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Mr. McLean. I understand that this is Ms. George's 7th arrest cycle. She has another criminal trespass case under 24 CR 007586J. Ms. Allen, what's your recommendation?
That's my case, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is
Go ahead.
she got an SOB jail the last time. We would be okay with her getting an SOB through pretrial services. If the court is not inclined to do that, given her open case, then we would ask for a low surety bond in the amount of $500, $250 for each count. This is a different incident location than the one in her open case. This incident occurred at LoopNet Check Cashing at 906 Cleveland Avenue in East Point. The owner of the store said that the defendant was loitering in the front of the building, smoking and refusing to leave. When officers spoke to her, she said that she was about to leave and was going to get on the bus. Then they asked for her information and she said she gave them the wrong birth date and then refused to be placed in handcuffs.
Mr. McLean, it's going to be $750 on each count. That's going to be a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. If she gets arrested again for anything else, the next time she comes back to court, she will need to bring $1,500 with her in order to be released. For this second case with state court, she is to stay away from the incident location, and whenever she's asked to leave a property that doesn't belong to her, she must do so immediately. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. She must provide us with a good mailing address in writing within 30 days of being released. I'm serious, Miss George. If I see you in jail again, the next time you'll be staying with us for quite a while. Thank you.
It's per judge.
Correct.
Thank you.
No, you got a signature bond. Don't come back to jail, he's gonna be here for a long time. Next, Your Honor, is gonna be position number 1, Mr. Octavius Clay.
Octavius Demond Clay is accused of criminal trespass from December 19th of this year, 24 CR 8229J. Mr. Clay, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Mr.
Yes.
Go ahead.
16 total, 2024 probation, 2016 possession of heroin. I think that was by the feds. 2012 simple battery. You got drug history.
Thank you.
Arrest.
And Ms. Mokeke?
Yes, Your Honor. The victim in this case is Miss Cassandra Clay, who is married to the defendant. I have the incident location as 4550 Washington Road in Atlanta. The defendant is accused of shattering the front window of the apartment after the parties had been arguing all day. The victim was not present at the time that he shattered the window because she had gone to her sister's house to separate herself and so that they would not continue to fight. There were 2 other individuals in the home, Dante Cunningham and Skylar Benson, who stated that the defendant was beating on the door before he shattered the window. The defendant also did admit to officers that he broke the window. The state's recommendation is a signature bond for this charge. Because we haven't talked to Ms. Clay yet, we are going to recommend no further contact and a stay away. Once we get an opportunity to talk to her to discuss her preferences for contact, we are, of course, open to changing that he undergo some anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Do you know if this is a rental property or a property they own, a mortgage or something like that?
I am not sure, Your Honor. I'm not sure who owns the property.
What's the address of the incident? I'm looking at his address.
4550 Washington Road.
Well, it says apartment B3, so I guess it's an apartment complex.
Okay. And Mr. McLean, what's any objection to the stay away, no contact, and the you'll need to move to a different location?
Well, without her present, I don't have a leg to stand on, so I need her presence to say otherwise, Your Honor.
You would be correct. Mr. Clay, your bond for the criminal trespass is going to be $1,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. No further contact with Cassandra Clay. You are to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. You're also to stay away from 4550 Washington Road, that entire apartment complex, including the unit where you live. You may return one time only with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings. And then within 30 days of being released, you must provide us with a new mailing address. And it cannot be 4550 Washington Road. Your next court date will be sent to your new address. And please understand that if you fail to report or if you get arrested again, your signature bond will be revoked. Yes, Mr. Clay?
The address right there, me and my wife, we own that.
Well, you're still required to stay away from that property until further notice of the court. The only way I will get verification of whether you own the property is if Mrs. Clay shows up with a deed or with a warranty deed or a mortgage statement. But until then, you cannot stay there and you cannot be anywhere near her, and you'll need to give us a new mailing address until that matter is resolved. Thank you.
Hold on. Your Honor, Ms. Mokaki,
Yes.
he was booked in with a simple assault. What happened with that charge?
It was converted to the criminal trespass.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Next is gonna be position number 4, Mr. Earl Hall.
This is State versus Earl Hall, accused of battery, family violence from September 3rd, 2024, under accusation 24 CR 8225C. Mr. Hall, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Mr. McLean. I understand this is his 25th arrest cycle. Any probation violations or FTAs?
2023, 2022, 2014 probation. On probation for ag assault. 2014 ag assault, 6 counts. Possession of a firearm by convicted felon. Possession of a firearm during the commission. Criminal damage to property, 1st degree. Those were convictions. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Mulcahy?
Yes, Mr. Hall is also position 5 on the calendar. The 2 counts of simple battery.
I'm sorry, I missed that one. So he's got a new case, 24 CR 8226C, simple battery, family violence, and 2nd count of simple battery from December 5th of this year. All right, Mr. Hall, I'm so sorry I missed that one. You have 2 separate cases. And what's the recommendation, Ms. Mulcahy?
Yes, for position 4, the first case, the victim in that incident is Yanesha Halt, who lives with the defendant and also used to date the defendant. That incident location is 875 Hank Aaron Drive, Southeast in Atlanta. That is the Town Square Apartments. The parties were having an argument when the defendant snatched the victim's keys and her cell phone out of her hands. The victim then left the residence with her son, and the defendant proceeded to follow them. He then grabbed the victim by her backpack, pulled her to the ground as he was attempting to retrieve her second phone from her. The victim fought back until the defendant let go of the backpack, and then the defendant fled the scene. The victim did sustain bruises as a result of the assault. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Yanesha Halt, stay away from that incident location, that he do an FBIP, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask the court to sound for Ms. Halt once we are done. For position 5, this incident location is 1860 Honeysuckle Lane, Southwest Atlanta. This is also an apartment complex. The victim in victims in this case are Natasha Griffin, who shares children with the defendant, and Ms. Griffin's son, Jared Hayes, who is not the defendant's child. Ms. Griffin's door was left open after her husband left for work, and the defendant proceeded to enter the apartment. She states that he was intoxicated and started asking their daughter questions, which was making her uncomfortable, so Ms. Griffin asked him to leave. This angered the defendant, and he proceeded to grab Ms. Griffin by her neck and twist her arm behind her back. Ms. Griffin's son, Jared Hayes, came out and tried to help his mom. The defendant then changed his focus from Ms. Griffin to Jared and tried to strike him several times after grabbing him, but Jared was able to dodge those punches. The defendant then fled the location by the time officers arrived. Our office has spoken with Ms. Griffin, who stated that the defendant did apply pressure to her neck when he grabbed it. She stated that the defendant had her neck for about a minute. She says his grip was a 6, but stated she did not have difficulty breathing. She did not feel like she was going to lose consciousness. She did not have any dizziness, and she could talk and she could scream. She did state that while the defendant was attacking her, he said, "Bitch, I'll kill you." Neither party sustained any visible injuries. Ms. Griffin did confirm the events in the warrant. She stated that before this incident, she hadn't seen the defendant for months. She states that he also broke her kitchen window. She, of course, does not want contact, wants him to stay away from the residence. The state's recommendation for this case is $3,000 surety on that first count of simple battery, $2,000 surety on the second count of simple battery, no further contact with the victims, stay away from the incident location, undergo an FVIP, of course, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. There is a concern for the safety of these individuals as he's assaulted 3 different people in the course of a few months, and he also has that lengthy criminal history. I would ask the court to please sound for all the victims in this case.
How old is Jared Holt?
Jared Hayes.
Oh, hey, excuse me.
Let me see if I can find that out for you, Your Honor.
All right. Natasha Griffin and Yanisha Holt, are you present? If you'd like to contribute, this would be the time to unmute and start your video. All right, doesn't appear to have anyone over here. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, I also have been trying to get hold of people to get them to appear on Zoom if they wanted to. Your Honor, I would be amiss in not asking the court for a signature bond on these matters, as they are misdemeanors. However, if the court is not inclined towards a signature bond, I would ask the court to consider a $1,000 to $2,000 surety bond. He has a stable address for mail. His mother is local with a stable address and Atlanta phone number. He's from Atlanta. He's local. He's been here all his life. He's 42 years old. He works. He has an education, and he's industrious in his workplace. We would ask the court to consider those factors and give him a low bond. Thank you.
On the on position 4, the battery family violence is going to be a $2,000 surety. On position 1, count 1 on position 5, simple battery family violence, that's a $1,000 surety. And count 2, simple battery with regards to Jared Hayes, that's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services level 2. This is going to be a $5,000 split bond. Okay. No further contact with Yanisha Holt, and stay away from the entire town square apartments, including Ms. Holt's unit. And then with regards to position 5, no further contact with Natasha Griffin and Jared Hayes, to stay away from the entire apartment complex at 1860 Honeysuckle Lane. And he is to update the court with his new mailing address within 30 days of being released. Also, within 30 days of being released, he shall enroll and complete a 26-week family violence intervention program. This has nothing to do with adjudication of the case. This is a condition of his bond. Within 30 days, he shall show proof to his pretrial officer that he has enrolled in the program. He shall attend and complete all 26 classes without skipping them. No illegal drugs, no alcohol. He'll be subject to random screens for illegal drugs and alcohol, and he is not to own, possess any firearms. By law, he's not allowed to have any firearms pursuant to his felony conviction. His next court date is going to be January 7th, pending his release on his bond.
And Your Honor, Jared Hayes is 19.
Okay, well, he's not present, so thank you. Next case, please.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 6, Mr. William Robinson.
All right. This is State versus William Robinson, accused of theft by taking under accusation number 24 CR 8223A. And he's got a companion case, which, is that an open case?
You asking me?
Yes, Mr. Howard, 23 CR 200702.
Hey, yeah,
No?
that's in state court. I got it. That is open in state court.
Okay,
They also got open felony 23 SC 189122.
yeah, I saw that. Okay, so Mr. Robinson has 25 arrest cycles with an open case in state court and an open case in Superior Court.
And FTAs.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Mr. Howard, finish his report.
Oh, 2024 FTA, 2023 FTA, couple of probations from 2023, 2021 probation, 2018 and 17 probation, and a CWAC from 02.
All right, thank you. Miss Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 12th of December at about 4 p.m. At the Eden Pharmacy at 1634 Jonesboro Road. Surveillance captured multiple people taking boxes off a pallet there of prescription medication and then leaving. 11 boxes total were taken. A tip came in identifying the defendant. A knock and talk was done at his residence. He came outside and admitted taking 2 of the boxes from the location, $60 in value, Your Honor. He does have that open case. It's a simple battery and a felony case, drug case, judicial hold is the status of it at this point. We're asking for $1,000 surety. Stay away from the location, the Eden Pharmacy, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Right. Have there been any other arrests besides Mr. Robinson?
Failure to appear?
No, for any of the other individuals.
No, not that I know of, no.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, it was interesting. I noted in the police report, well, not the police report itself, excuse me, affidavit for arrest. The last paragraph mentions a spontaneous statement of the defendant before he could even be Mirandized. So I would like to reward him for that by asking for a signature bond, Your Honor. And it was 2 of the 11 boxes, and they were apparently very near his house, and he was very forthright.
All right.
Thank you.
Bond's going to be set at $100. It's going to be a cash bond only, and to stay away from the Eden Pharmacy location. Next court date is going to be January 7th. Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, is gonna be the add-on, position number 2 on the add-on calendar.
Yes, sir. This is State versus Demario Middlebrooks, accused of 2 counts of battery, family violence, and 1 count of criminal trespass causing damage to property from August 14th, 2023. Mr. Middlebrooks, this is his 35th arrest cycle. Go ahead, Mr. Howard.
Last arrest was December 16th, DeKalb County terrorist threats, unauthorized use of financial transaction card. Got an open suspended license, suspended registration, I'm sorry. Driving with suspended license, possession of marijuana. 2019 ag assault that was dismissed. 2016 theft by receiving, identity theft for our conviction. That's enough.
Fallon?
Your Honor, this young man has got a 2010 family violence battery conviction out of Fulton County, 10 SC 88321. The incident in front of you is from August the 14th of 2023. At about 3 p.m., police were called to 18 Cedar Run, Unit A. There they met with the victim, Reagan Jenkins, who reported she's got a child with the defendant and they lived together, or at least they did at that time. She was seen to have bruising and swelling on her face near her left eye, as well as bruising on her shoulder. She reported that during an argument, the defendant had punched her repeatedly, and she sustained injuries and requested help. You have in front of you 2 counts of battery family violence. He also took her phone and threw it, damaging it. We have been in touch with Mrs. Jenkins today. She reports they're no longer in a relationship and no longer live together. She says she's not in fear and she'd like to have some contact, Your Honor. We'd argue that that might not be the best choice at this point, seeing as he was just arrested this month on the 16th for terroristic threats, and he has that prior battery family violence. The DA's office was not responsive this morning, but the state would argue we don't even have jurisdiction to charge this gentleman based on the fact of his prior conviction. But here we are. I filed an accusation. We're asking for a $4,000 surety bond. Absolutely no contact with Mrs. Jenkins. No contact with the child that they share unless he has filed a legitimation or there's some kind of superior court order granting him visitation and custody. Stay away from wherever Ms. Jenkins may live, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And if you would sound for Mrs. Jenkins, thank you.
Reagan Jenkins, if you are present, this would be a good time to start your video and unmute if you want to contribute to the proceedings.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to start my video. It says that the host has disabled it.
All right, give us a minute.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon.
Okay. Hello. If you'd like to raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, Mr. Middlebrooks has a rather interesting history. So what would you like to tell me?
I would like to say that this occurred during a rough patch of our relationship. I can say we had just had a child. I can say I had a few issues myself, not just health issues, mental issues. So we were definitely in different spaces of our lives. Since that year and a half, we have developed a very cohesive and good co-parenting relationship. I can say him and my daughter, they speak every day. For instance, this week he's been gone. It has been very rough on my family. We strictly co-parent. I wouldn't necessarily say we have a great relationship now. So I would love to move. I would like to have contact with him just off the simple fact of my daughter. But
he doesn't live with you, does he?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And does he live with the child?
No, ma'am. However, we kind of go back and forth because I live in Savannah right now. So I'll bring her up and he'll come down. Literally, he just saw her maybe a week before he was arrested, the week of Thanksgiving, and he came and he basically helped me with our daughter when we got sick. I had to work. Okay. And he came and got a hotel room and was able to help with that. So it's a lot of help having him in her life.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm. McLean, did you have a question to ask of Ms. Jenkins?
I do.
Go ahead.
Does he provide decent support for the child?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ma'am, were you the victim of the terroristic threats from July of 2024 that he was just in jail for in DeKalb?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. On the first count of battery family violence, that's going to be 1,000. On the second count of criminal trespass causing damage to property, that's 500. And the count 3 on battery family violence, that's going to be 2,000. Count 1 is a surety bond. Count 2 is a surety bond. Count 3 is going to be a signature bond through pretrial, level 2, with a domestic violence intervention requirement. What that means, Mr. Middlebrooks, you've got a 3,500 split bond. Due to your significant record history, as well as your open case in DeKalb, you don't qualify for a complete surety signature bond. Once you've paid the 1,500 portion, you will report to pretrial twice a month, level 2. Within 30 days, you will also enroll in a domestic violence intervention program and complete all the classes at your own expense and provide the certificate of completion to your pretrial officer. While you are out on bond on this case, you are not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. You are to have no further violent contact with Reagan Jenkins, and you may continue with the parenting plan that you have with Ms. Jenkins, or you can file a legitimation action and obtain a court order to establish joint custody, visitation, as well as child support. Your next court date will be January 7th. If you are released on bond, Please make sure that you maintain a current mailing address so we can send you summons for your next court date. Please remember that once you're released on bond, you're still required to report to pretrial and complete the DBIP program. If you get arrested again for anything else, the $2,000 portion of your bond will be revoked and converted to either a cash bond or a surety bond. Thank you.
She's gonna tell you.
Okay. Deputy, do we have an Antonika Eccles or?
Echoes was, that's gonna be a medical reset, Your Honor.
All right, so position 2 is a medical reset to tomorrow, December 21st at 2 p.m. All right, who do we have presently?
And also position number 7 on the regular calendar is gonna be a waiver.
All
And
right,
in front of you right now is gonna be Mr. Quinlan Cross on the add-on,
all right,
position 1.
thank you.
Your Honor, considering the charges, should we do that as a breakout or as a special media thing?
Courtroom is clear, there's no one in here.
All right, so let me go ahead, Ms. Champion.